As most of you know, I make music. When I say I make music, it kind of sounds like I fully produce everything that I make, which is not entirely true. When I say I write music, I write lyrics to already made beats. I find the beats on YouTube, and then I buy licenses for them so I can upload them to Spotify, which is how I think most new gen artists pretty much start. But with that being said, I put a lot of emphasis into my songwriting, into my lyrics. Writing songs is one of my safest forms of expression, no matter how I'm feeling, happy, sad, heartbroken, etc., whatever. Songwriting quickly turned into my go-to outlet. It sounds corny, I know, and that's like kind of the whole point of songwriting. But nevertheless, I hold my lyrics pretty close to my heart. So for today's video, I went around and asked a handful of my friends what their favorite songs of mine were, their favorite lyrics from those songs, and I'm gonna go through and basically do a lyric breakdown for your guys' favorite lines.
I wish there was a way that I could reach you, a way that I could meet you again. You told me I could make it work, I never followed the plan.
Reach You is probably one of my most favorite songs I've ever made. When I first found the instrumental, I was inspired like that. In a snap, was inspired. I just knew I had to write to it. This song is basically about wanting to reconnect with someone in your past out of curiosity to see how the both of you guys changed without each other, as you can tell from the lines.
I wish there was a way that I could reach you, a way that I could meet you again.
Now, the favorite lyrics from this song were,
Maybe I held on too tight. Was it all those sleepless nights? For a girl who never cried. I should get hurt me without trying.
sometimes you try too hard in a situation that just isn't working. And that's basically what I was writing about in that specific line. Trying too hard in a situation where the other person doesn't seem to be reciprocating the same effort back. I would say this is probably my personal favorite line as well from this song.
Sleepless nights, feel like I don't wanna try again. I swear I never wanna cry in front of a friend. Tryna live out every day like it's the end. Did I still wake up without fear in my bed? Speak, I would follow you, I would follow you. Take if you wanted to, if you wanted to.
Shout out Fast. He makes music too. You guys should go check him out. Follow You was one of the songs where the lyrics came to me before I found the beat for it. In general, I wanted to write about the feeling of, well, trying really hard for someone who just won't try back. In this song, I'm basically conveying how I would do anything for them to care back. The favorite lyrics requested from this song were,
You play the good guy, saving face, you use me as your punching bag.
my first two songs, Subtle and Follow You, followed, no pun intended, very closely with an actual experience that I had. It wasn't necessarily a bad relationship, but we just never really talked, especially never argued. I can't really recall a time where we argued, and that might sound like a good thing, but I'm the type of person to believe that arguments can help grow a relationship, so as long as some sort of understanding and a betterment of yourself as a person comes out of it in the end. It's easy to say that you were a good partner when you never really had any outstanding arguments, but you can still falter as a partner in other ways. At the time, I was extremely hurt by the lack of talking and even just the lack of arguing. I just wanted something, you know what I mean? Whenever there was a feeling of tension in the slightest, we would just take our space and never really fully talk about it. After a certain point, it just got kind of tiring for the both of us.
Time we're out options. I'm a pessimist, you can never clock it. We can just pretend like it's not the end, even though I can see the edge from here.
The end is all about the panic of being able to see the end of a relationship before it is even ended. Pretty self-explanatory when you listen to the lyrics for it. This one was really fun to make though, and I was able to experiment a little more in depth of FL Studio vocal effects. At this point, I was only really using BandLab. I started with BandLab and I just couldn't let it go for a year, but as of recently I've been using FL Studio as my main DAW for vocal production and even starting to learn how to make my own beats. The favorite lines from this song were,
I'm running out of time, I'm out of options. Without the time to stop it. Use my last breath to tell you how much I love the way that you hate me.
once you start to see the end of a relationship, you kind of get in your head about whether or not you want to save it or let it crumble, which is basically what these lines were about. Telling them how much I love the way that they hate me, which is like such a Tumblr line, I'm so sorry. But basically that's my resolve that I'm ready to accept that they're willing to just let it end. It's kind of like a bummer, as is all my songs. This is an officially released song. I can already hear Yams nagging at me to officially drop it on Spotify, but it is up on SoundCloud if you guys want to check it out. This song is also loosely based on experiences that I've had, not just one, but you know, a mixture of different experiences, and most of my songs kind of follow that a little bit. But for this one, to put it in very simple terms, it's kind of about being led on. The favorite lyrics for this song were, I made way too many mistakes in my life. And my biggest regret is giving you my time. I tried with you. Take a step back and reflect on our past. What do you see? How much effort I can see to make you mine when you lied to me time and time again. Show my feelings down your throat. You're the ghost, it only common sense as if I don't know what the problem is. Make it seem like it's not your fault. You keep on telling me this is the last time, but I know you love to smile when you lie. Those lines were kind of self-explanatory, you know. I wasted my time being with you. At least that's, you know, how it feels. Time spent in love isn't a waste, whatever. But I was just pretty fucking upset at the time, dude. For the other lyrics, which is the chorus, shove my feelings down your throat, you regurgitate only common sense as if I don't know what the problem is. Basically me saying that I keep trying to express to you how I feel and you keep hitting me with common sense solutions. Like, it should be common sense that you do this to make yourself feel, but that's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying to express to you how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? It kind of feels like whenever you're in a situation where the other person doesn't really care that much, they always kind of make it seem like it's not their fault when you feel a certain way about what they're doing to you. And those last two lines, you keep on telling me that this is the last time, but I know you'd love to smile when you lie, could be a multitude of things that they're lying about. And this doesn't necessarily have to be just about being led on, which for me it was personally about being led on. And it's a universal experience, so I figured it was pretty relatable in a sense. But that's essentially what those last two lines mean. They keep lying about something, and they keep saying that they'll change, and then they just don't. Now, the pre-chorus is kind of supposed to be me in the present time looking back on the situation in hindsight. And when you look back on hindsight, all I can see is basically me putting in a lot of effort and not getting that effort back. That's essentially what it's supposed to mean. Again, these are not directed at anybody or anything in particular. This is about a mixture of different situations, not even just romantically, but platonically as well. This song was really fun to make. It was my first official song that I made fully on FL Studio. Not really much experiment going on. I kind of just used like some basic presets, plugins, whatever you want to call them. But it was really fun to make, and you could tell that the quality is a lot different than what it was on BandLab. I didn't really understand how vocal compression worked. When I used it on BandLab, they were just two knobs. But on FL Studio, you kind of have to have a little bit of a better understanding as to what it does. So this song could be a little better mixing-wise, but we're not here to talk about the technicalities of the song. We're here to talk about the lyrics. The favorite lines for Vicious are,
Top off, but I only see it different. It's a blessing and a curse to understand what hurts you the most. You either live your life in ignorance and undervalue your words. Take what's necessary, but don't come crawling back. I'm your adversary.
Now, this song is basically about somebody doing you very, very wrong, and you can't really see them the same afterwards. And it's kind of the pent-up rage that you feel when somebody's done you wrong, and you just wanting to be petty and hurl insults at them. That's essentially what this is. It's a very angry song, in my opinion. Now, in these lines that were requested for an explanation, I'll go through them in order as to how I put them in in that part I just put in just now. Top off, but I only see you different is basically giving them another chance and getting intimate with this person, and just not being able to see them the same anymore after the wrongdoings that they put you through. It's essentially a lot of different things change when somebody does you wrong. This one, I guess, is more specifically in a romantic sense. For that next line, you either live your life in ignorance and undervalue your worth. That essentially is just about when somebody hurts you, especially in a romantic sense, and you want to give them a chance. You could probably just ignore those hurt feelings that you're feeling and undervalue your worth, meaning undervaluing what you actually truly deserve. And if by giving them another chance, would they be able to actually finally give you what you deserve? That's essentially what that line means, with the context and the other lines that it's between. Take what's necessary, but don't come crawling back. I'm your adversary now. It's supposed to convey a point in your grieving process or healing process or whatever, where you want to give them another chance, but you're really not done healing yet, but you don't really care what they do anymore. You just kind of let them take what's necessary, or take from you in general, no matter what it is. And when they do end up crawling back, you just want to let them know that I'm not your friend anymore. I'm your adversary. I'm your enemy, essentially. I didn't want to say enemy because it reminds me of that one Imagine Dragons song, which happens to be the opening theme to Arcane. But my friend group has a joke about Imagine Dragons where we just don't really like Imagine Dragons. So I just kind of tried to find another word for enemy that rhymed better with necessary. So there you go. Play Along happens to be kind of a fan favorite a little bit. I did a music video on it if you want to go check it out. Play Along music video. But Play Along is really interesting because in this song, I'm talking about two different people at once. Whoa. Listen, at this point, I was very confused about how I was feeling, and I just had to put it into a song. Songwriting. It is an awesome outlet, and it works for me. So I was able to figure it out after I wrote the song. So good for me. The favorite lines from this song were, like I said, this is kind of about two different people at once. So in a lot of the song, it kind of switches back and forth between who I'm talking about. And it's kind of seamless because 1 minute I'll be talking to this person, the other minute I'll be talking to the other person, kind of thing. In One Year to Say You Hate Me is about one of the people, and then We Just Met But You Call Me Baby is about the other person. Two different people. But I end up going back to that first person. I wish I could go back to that time that we were up all night chasing the sunrise. Yeah, that's essentially what that was. And throughout the song, basically, I realized that I can't really bring myself to see anybody else. I still want to be with that person. So it is a very confusing song lyrically, because I'm trying to talk about two people at the same time. Now, that other part, the I could up and disappear, and you probably wouldn't notice, I'd move far away from here, maybe I could finally be near you. It's supposed to play on the juxtaposition of the fact that, well, if I'm going far away, how could I possibly be near you? But it kind of plays into my attachment style. I am considered to be an avoidant attachment style. So I find that I recuperate and regenerate my feelings a lot faster when I'm away, when I'm taking my space, when I'm alone, when I step away from a problem, when I avoid it, basically. So it's supposed to play on that juxtaposition and also my attachment issues. Maybe I could finally feel closer to you if I can just get really far away from the issue. Hence why I am trying to indulge myself in seeing another person. It's probably one of my favorite songs lyrically, just because I just really like the lyrical composition of talking about two people at once. And you can tell who I'm talking about now that you kind of have a better understanding of what the song is about. You can tell when it switches, and I think that's really cool. This is, if I were to rank my songs, Turn to You is probably number one in my favorite songs I've ever made. Very up there with Reach You. Reach You is one of my favorites, but if I were to really rank it, Turn to You is my number one favorite song I've ever made. It's not only my favorite song in terms of how it sounds and how I made it, but also lyrically. Just a lot of, and the melody, I really like the melody that I ended up coming up with for this song. So it all kind of meshed together really well. So I'm really happy for that. The favorite lines from this song were, I don't know how I can play this smart, but don't try too far. I'll hold you back until it breaks my heart. But I'm not good enough for you to turn around. You call it off because I've blocked out this sound. Now, this song in general is about wanting to go back to somebody who hurt you really badly. Not feeling like you're really getting the emotional nourishment from somebody. You keep trying to ask them for help and reach out for help, but it doesn't seem like they're really anywhere to be found whenever you're having trouble. Now, those first few lines, it's really just me saying, I don't really know how to go about this. And the fact that this person keeps going away from me, I will just hold them back from jumping off and trying to get away until it breaks my arms. Does that make sense? Basically saying that I just don't want them to leave, and I'm really hurting and I want them to be here, but they just won't, or they just can't really provide me that emotional nourishment that I need and that emotional support that I need. But I'm not good enough for you to turn around. You call it Orpheus, I blocked out the sound, is essentially kind of a play on the classic Greek mythology story about Orpheus, who is actually musically talented, which I think is funny. In this scenario, I consider myself to be Orpheus, I guess, metaphorically. The moral of the story for Orpheus was that he met Eurydice, and she dies, so he ventures out to hell, and he charms everybody, including Hades himself, with his beautiful musical talents. Hades agrees that he could let Orpheus take Eurydice back to the overworld, but on the condition that neither of them can look back. Obviously, Orpheus is tempted to look back throughout this journey, and then it's just a test on faith, or if you love them so much you just can't help but look back. And I guess that is what this line is inspired on. I'm not good enough for you to turn around, meaning that I don't care enough even to feel tempted by wanting to turn around. Does that make sense? So even when they're tempting me by calling out Orpheus, Micah, I don't feel tempted enough to turn around. But again, the juxtaposition of the fact is I'm going in to save you anyways, but because I feel like I don't get the same from you, this is kind of my last act of gratitude to save you from hell. But even then, Hades' condition to get you back is like a no-brainer for me because I don't even care enough to want to turn back around. And in the later lines where I'm like, I'll lead you to the gates and keep walking, that's kind of where that explanation comes more into play.
So, if you try to run away, you're quirky. So tough, I was being sarcastic. I spit the best out elastic.
Subtle! The one probably a lot of people requested, which surprisingly there was another song, but that'll be the last one, the next one after this. Subtle is my very first song, and I dropped it without really knowing what that could mean for where I would want to go in life in general. And then Subtle dropped, and all my friends really loved it, and everybody was like, oh my god, you should make music. And then I submitted it to a music stream, and now we're here, making music still, and really trying to pursue music making, songwriting, beat producing, whatever I can get my hands on. I really do want to make music. This was a very special song to me, or this is a very special song to me, because it opened up my worldview as to what I could really do with what I consider myself to be pretty good at, singing. The favorite lines from this song were,
Who said I wanted you in the first place? You checked me in the worst way. I never wanted you in the first place. You take my mind up in the worst way. Spare me. Don't you dare compare me. It's not just love that you adore. So what's the point of having to implore? You left my heart bleeding on the floor. I don't know how to feel anymore. I can't do the same shit again and again. You're not someone I qualify as a friend. Eyes wide as I watch my heart in your hand. I don't know why you won't let this end.
as I mentioned earlier, Subtle follows very closely with a past experience that I've had. And it's literally ripped out of my journals when I would journal a lot about my feelings. Most of the lyrics that came out of it were ripped from journals about a time in my life where I was just feeling really, really hurt about a situation that I had experienced. For those first few lines, who said I wanted you in the first place? You changed me in the worst way. I never wanted you in the first place. You take my mind up in the worst way. At the time, I wasn't even really looking for much, and it's always the situations that you weren't really seeking after, or that you weren't really seeking out, and they kind of just come out of nowhere, and then they change you for the worse. So I'm kind of expressing my anger that I wasn't really even seeking anything out like this in the first place. I just kind of wanted to chill, and then you came and I indulged it, and then I was left to hurt at the end. Spare me, don't you dare compare me is just about, don't compare me to other people, which I've experienced many times, and not even in a lot of different experiences with many different people, not just romantically, but also platonically. It's not just love that you adore, so what's the point of having to implore? It's basically about the other person not really actually looking for love, they were just looking for a good time, being with somebody who isn't really looking for love or doesn't think that they're lovable. So in that case, that kind of just gets really tiring. They're not actually searching for love, they're just searching for something to fill the void or someone to fill the void that they feel. And if not love, then you're just kind of a physical entity to them. You left my heart bleeding on the floor, I don't know how to feel anymore is pretty self-explanatory. Essentially, I was left to hurt in the end because of it. I can't do the same shit again and again. You're not someone I qualify as a friend is kind of ties into that other song where I was talking about it being about being led on. That's kind of the same thing. I can't keep doing the same cycle again and again. And after the breakup, I can't really see that I qualify you as a friend because even friends wouldn't do something like that. Eyes wide as I watch my heart in your hand, I don't know why you won't let this end, is essentially, it is, again, about repeating cycles and kind of being strung along, and you kind of just want it to end and they just won't. There's no need to repent, you're not so subtle. That line is just about, you don't really need to say sorry because I don't really care, and even when you do say sorry, I can tell that you don't really mean it. You're not very subtle about how you don't really care. So I'm just gonna pop out. That song holds a very special place in my heart, and that's what the lyrics mean, for anybody who was wondering.
You think I care about your missed calls? You meant to call your other lover. You like to take after your mother. I'm sorry to your moms, I might be taking it too far. Try to run away. You won't see another day, and you'll never see my face again. Talking about we'll be together till the end.
Crashing Out, I dropped off a whim. I dropped it on SoundCloud first with Smile When You Lie in a 3-song EP, I guess. Now, the meaning for Crashing Out is actually really ironic, and it was based on an experience that I had not experienced yet, and then not even a month after I dropped it, or 2 months after I dropped it, I had experienced it. So I guess I could say I manifested the situation that I was writing about, making up. I made it up. The favorite lyrics for this song were,
What you asking me for? Leave the bullshit at the door. Stringing me out for poor. Now you asking me for more. Take my pride and you're not shy. Take the life out of my eyes. Rolling around in all your lies. Up until you say goodbye.
now this song, as I said, was made up, and we'll just leave it at that. It was a made up situation. A friend of mine had told me about an experience that he had with being cheated on. And I remember that one of my favorite artists, Glaive, he had written a song about his friend getting cheated on. And so he wrote a song about that in his album. And I was like, that kind of sounds fun. I should probably do that. So I festered up the feelings, because I'm just such an empath. Festered up the feelings that my friend was probably feeling when he was going through what he was going through. And I put it in a song. And it's not to say that some of the parts weren't, from my own personal experience. I can't really tap into writing songs if I'm not actually feeling it too. And this is one of those lines where I could feel like I could relate to it. What you asking me for? Leave that bullshit at the door. What are you asking me for? Like, can you just stop asking me for things, considering that you've done these things to me? Stringing me out for poor, now you're asking me for more. Is you just take and take and take. This person is taking away from you, and now they keep asking for more. They'll take whatever and they just keep asking for more, and you're just kind of tired. You're just kind of tired of them asking for you to do things for them when they can't even do the same back. Take my pride and you're not shy. Take the life out of my eyes. Rolling around in all your lies up until you say goodbye. Pretty self-explanatory. In this case, I'm talking about the good side of pride, and in this case, in this situation, the other person takes the pride out of you and basically disrespects you. That's pretty much it. Rolling around in all your lies up until you say goodbye. They just keep lying, and then when they're kind of bored of it, of at least lying to you, then they just leave. That's essentially what that's about. So, this is a bit of a longer video, I believe, but I think it was worth it because I do like explaining my lyrics to my friends and to the people who enjoy listening to my music. If you haven't heard my music already, it's here, my Spotify. It's also linked in the description below. I also have a SoundCloud where I release kind of just like random stuff. If you enjoy my music, go ahead and follow me on Spotify and also subscribe because I do covers and I do covers and I also post music videos. So if you enjoy that, if you enjoy the music, if you enjoy listening to that, go ahead and drop a subscribe and also like the video if you enjoyed it. I love you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
You think I care about your missed calls? You meant to call your other lover. You like to take after your mother. I'm sorry to your moms, I might be taking it too far. Try to run away. You won't see another day, and you'll never see my face again. Talking about we'll be together till the end. I'm crashing out.